All right, back with Clayton's 2013 F150. You know, slowly but surely getting this thing back up to operating correctly. So we are in the interior this time. His passenger AC is stuck on AC and it won't go to heat. That is a blend door issue. The blend door is basically directly behind this vent up top. So we'll show you how to get there. First things first, you got to get rid of all these goofy electronics plugged into everything in the way. Step number one will be to drop this glove box. We're going to take this out. There are 3 7mm bolts, one here, one here, one here. We're going to take those out, open it up, and squeeze the sides like this, and the whole thing will come right out. The glove box is out. If you followed our previous video with the AC mod, you can just let those wires hang. They won't be in the way. So step number 2, if you look up in here, there are 3 8mm bolts holding this airbag cartridge in. We're going to pop those out and slide the airbag forward. So let's see if I can get a good shot. There's 1, 2, 3 over there. So I'm gonna zip those bad boys out, and then also, important note, make sure you disconnect your battery and leave it disconnected for a little bit to decharge the SRS system. You don't want to mess with airbags with the battery connected. All right, once you get the 3 bolts out, it was kind of a pain. So I wedged my hand up in here to the side of the airbag over here and pushed up and out on that and managed to get all the retainers to depress. You do all that just to get to these 7mm screws back here. So we're going to pop those out, and then this panel should pop forward and expose screws behind the radio here. This side should just pop off without having to remove anything. So I'm going to pop both of these forward, and then we'll pick up from there. All right, we pulled those 2 screws over here, and then used a fancy handy dandy trim stick to not damage any plastic. Came in at the top here, popped it loose, so now it's free at the top, which is all we need. To get it all the way free, you have to pull this whole center console back. We are not doing that. Also, if you don't have trim sticks, we'll put a link in the description and right up here in the video if you would like to order them from Amazon. Now you can see we moved to the driver's side. I also, real quick, took this panel out. So this panel clicks in down here. You can pop that out with a trim stick as well. It's just held by push pins. So what we're gonna do, funny thing is there's not even a screw behind here like I thought. So this actually pops free. You can see I have it free now, but it did give me access to go to the side to get those clips to pop. So we're gonna pull this back a little bit. That exposes, we got 1 screw here, 1 screw at the top, and then 2 down here at the bottom, 1, 2, and that will free up this whole faceplate right here to come back. So let me get those screws out, and then we're gonna take our trim stick and start popping on this puppy. Yeah, holy cow. There's a CD player in here we didn't even know. Is there a hole for it? There is a hole for it. Holy guacamole. All right, so this was a little tricky again. Trim sticks, variations. I will have a link, or you can get them pretty much anywhere. Auto parts store, very, very, very important. So you have to carefully get all these push tabs removed, and then very carefully slide it up and over these 2 side pieces here. And once you do, there's 1 single plug on the bottom. Oh, light's in a bad spot. So then once you do, there's 1 single plug on the bottom. You depress that tab and pull it. I left the top one plugged in and just threw it up on the top there. But we are finally through the plastic, and now we're going to pull this radio module here. So that is more 7mm screws down the side here. We're going to take out the top 2 there and the top 2 here, and this puppy should come forward. All right, easy peasy lemon squeezy. The 4 7mm are out. So the small connector you just depress and unplug. This big one you have to press on the top here behind this lever that locks in, and then unlever it, it'll come out. So set that aside carefully. So you can see the blend door actuator now. It's back here in this corner. So that's the bolt we have to access from this side. But looking at this setup, it's going to be real easy to pull it out through this hole right here and put it back in through this hole instead of trying to fish it through the glove box where I got to reach my arm up to get to the back bolt. So I'm going to pull the CD player as well. So it's got 4 more 7mm and that Phillips on the back with that bracket, it looks like. So I'm gonna pop all those out and see if I can't slide this thing out of here too to get us a nice big opening to work in. Hoo-wee! All right, easy peasy. There's quite a few plugs on the back of that thing. Turns out the radio itself is in there, and along with a few other things. So you got 4 on the back, but they're all just as easy, just to press with your thumb and release. So now we got a nice large opening to get to our blend door actuator right here. So what I'm gonna do, you have to go, the reason we pulled the glove box is you fish your arm up through that side. Actually, Clayton, you want to do that real quick as a demonstration? So you're going to reach up and to the right. You know where it's at, right?
Do I have to come from the bottom?
Come from there and then go up and to the right. So you can see where Clayton's hand is. It's a little deeper than that, Clayton. keep going. Kind of keep going. Can you? I'm sorry, you're too high. So, can you see my finger in there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. So that's how you get through to get to that back bolt. So there's only 2 bolts on this. They're 8mm. So we're gonna take that back one off first because it's the hardest to get to, and we're gonna unplug it. I'll take this one off up here. That's nice and easy, and then I'll pick up back on the video. We're gonna pick it up, pull it out, drop the new one in, and do everything in inverse. All right. So Mr. Clayton wedged his hand up there just like we showed. Got that screw out. I actually fished it out the front with a magnet stick just to be safe so we didn't drop it. This one was super easy, and your plug has enough play that you can literally, once you got the 2 bolts out, pop it up and pull it forward just a smidgen. So it'll come down to like right here. You push this red tab back and then depress this squeeze tab right here and then carefully unplug it. And she is out. So now here we go. We got the new actuator in, or to put in. So I'm going to slide this puppy back in there, drop it in, and get those bolts going. I'll put a link up here at this part of the video if you'd like to order this puppy from Amazon. It really helps us out. We get a little kickback. I'll also have a link in the description. This is a Ford Motorcraft part, but they may have Dorman ones. I'll see what kind of options I can find on Amazon. I think this one came from the eBay. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was from eBay.
He ordered this
as well.
NAM ago, but yeah, I've had good luck with all the different ones. You can also get them at O'Reilly's if you're in a pinch and you got a cold passenger. But yeah, I'm gonna drop this puppy in there. Obviously, it just goes back in the same orientation. This little gear wheel should kind of fall into place. You may have to spin it a little bit and then manually turn it. So we're gonna go ahead and slide it back in and get it screwed back down. This back screw is a little nerve-wracking just because you know, it might fall down into an abyss I don't want to try and dig it out of. So we're going to be real careful putting that back in. I would suggest doing the same. Okay, I'm going to lean over here because I got so much stuff in the passenger seat. So the new actuator is in. It only goes in one way, so I had to drop it in and turn it a little bit. Clayton carefully got the screw in the back, doing the Lord's work. I plugged the plug in before I dropped it into place. It also has a peg. If you look, when you take it out, it has this little peg that it also has to drop down on. So it goes like that. So this little area sits on a peg. You drop it down in, boom, 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 bolt it down. So now, before I button everything up back together, so the next step, if you come down here in the passenger kick panel to the right, you can pull this cover off. It just pulls off by hand over on this side. So you reach back here, pull it, and then twist it out. Then you got this little cover here on your fuse panel with these 2 squeezy tabs. So you squeeze those and pop them off. They give you a little fuse puller. So if you look at the very bottom right, up 1 is a 10 amp red fuse. You're gonna pull that fuse. That's fuse 46. That is for the HVAC module. Just like that. So we're gonna leave that pulled with the truck while the truck has power. And in the meantime, I'm going to install the CD player and the screen and plug in the controls. And that needs to be unplugged for at least a minute. And when we plug it back in and key it up, it will do a learn procedure to reset the blend door actuator. All right. So quick note, that little screw back here, if you're watching this through without following along, when you put it back together, I had to reach back here and those brackets separated. So I had to squeeze them with my hands and kind of lift to get it all lined back up and tighten back down. So it has a tendency to want to flex apart, but it wasn't bad at all. And I still recommend taking it out because it made access to this hole much better. But if you're scared of that, you can take out these top 2 screws, I suppose, and just leave that bracket in place. All right, so we are all plugged back in together. Radio and CD player fully mounted. Obviously you can see I just set that up there because I don't want to fish it in till we know for sure. Assistant Clayton is going to stab that 10mm fuse back into its location. Clayton?
Where is it?
I think it's still in that little white clip. Yeah, little fuse puller. Yeah, and it goes, if you look at the very bottom right, there's like a blue fuse, which I think is like a 15 amp. It goes right above it. It's plugged in. So what you're supposed to do is key it up. And we're gonna leave it keyed up for like 60 seconds. And then, yeah. Like I said, all electricals are plugged in. So this is all just plastics and stuff that needs to get put back together. So we will let it sit here for like 60 seconds. And then we will fire it up and make sure that it is now blowing heat instead of AC. So here we are. Obviously all this is buttoned up, doing the airbag. I didn't plan on saying this, but then I realized I probably should, especially if you're not accustomed to these things. So if you look at the bolts that hold the airbags in, let me get some good lighting. There we go. Maybe let me walk over here. Hold on. So yeah, so if you look at the bolts that hold the airbags in, you'll see this little blue material on it. So that is called Loctite, and that's because they do not want those bolts coming out when the airbag deploys in a crash situation. So you need to put new Loctite on it. I clean these off with a wire wheel and then apply new Loctite. I'll put a link in the description. You can get it at any auto parts store, Harbor Freight, or wherever. But make sure you replace the bolts with at least blue Loctite. You can go with yellow or red if you have it. It's just going to be stronger and worse for the next time you try and take it out. All right, warmed her up, and both sides are finally warm. So this puppy worked like a champion, and yeah, now I'm just going to button everything back up. You just do that the same way you took it apart. Carefully slide the spacer back in, put the screws in, and then get everything else clicked back up. Rebolt the airbag, obviously, glove box, all the good stuff. So that means Clayton only went one winter with his passengers freezing. That's exciting. So yeah, hit a thumbs up if this video helped you. Subscribe if you want to see more repairs on this truck or any weird builds we're doing. And yeah, thanks for watching.